Meet the Mets. Head for the park and greet the Mets. Hot dogs, green grass, all out of shade. Guaranteed to have a heck of a day because those Mets are really rocking and ball, hitting those home runs over the wall. Go Riders, New Jersey, Brooklyn, Queens, and tell them gone. Let's go Mets, that's the cheer all over New York Times. Beat the Mets. Let's go Mets.
Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and we are back here in New York City, live, talking about Carlos Correa again. Carlos Correa again. And I actually have an article because obviously, we've had a few days off, um, celebrating the new year. Happy New Year to everybody. We say hello to the chat. Hello, Christian JMJ. Hello, Ramon. Hello, Jimmy. Yes, and of course, please like the video and subscribe. We're going to talk about the Mets a little bit. It's funny you should mention that. We'll talk about Carlos Correa. And let's see. Let me get to this article. I have from MLB.com. Should have been set up already, but that's okay. Now, as you know, Correa is still the talk of baseball. When is this thing going to be announced? Hello, the Pardon Me While I Puke show. It's an unfortunate name. I hope you feel better. As this article takes forever to upload. Here we go. Here we go. All right, here we go. Gonna read some of this. Give you sort of where we have been, where we are at, and where the hell is this going at this point? I think people went out. I think part of it is, like I said, it's the holiday season. Today is not a bank holiday. It is not a post office is closed. You're seeing a lot of stupid things taking forever. Oh, that. But you have a bank holiday. Post office isn't on. Isn't going on, and you just have a situation where really, and you have skeleton crews with all these offices. So obviously, there's nothing going on Saturday, or Sunday, or really today. But I would expect something tomorrow. I've been saying that since last week that I expect something after the new year. If something doesn't happen tomorrow, and if we're still talking about this on Wednesday, I would be concerned if you're for Correa, or even not even for Correa. To be honest with you, now, if they were to sign him, that means in all likelihood that my one of my favorite guys, Eduardo Escobar, is going to be traded. There was a rumor earlier this afternoon saying that the Marlins had a deal with the Mets on Escobar. I guess the Mets would be getting one of their pitchers, I would assume. So that was something that was a little bit different that I heard of. I should probably put Escobar's name down as a trade candidate now. Unfortunately, I'm a big fan of his. He's a winning player. The Mets would be very fortunate to just make him the DH and sort of a guy off the bench, but it doesn't seem like they want to do that. So he might be on the move at some point. I know the Mets are still looking for pitching, and I think they're kind of looking for another starter here. But the Marlins were mentioned. This was earlier today. I guess one of the Miami papers had this. And the only reason that deal hasn't gone through is because the Mets are waiting on Correa. They want to announce it. So that's why the Marlins pivoted and they signed Gene Segura to that 2-year. If you know, Gene Segura, they said, was going to be the third baseman down in Miami. Great. Just the guy we want to see playing against the Mets in September is Gene Segura. But yeah, I'm going to get into this news about Correa. It doesn't seem like anything right now, but I had an article, but the article's taking too long to upload. So I'm going to read you it from my phone. But in the meanwhile, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. If you want to participate in the chat, please subscribe. That way, you can ask me any kind of questions you want about the Mets. Okay. I'm not going to go through this whole article. Here's what we get with Anthony DeComo wrote this. What's the hang up? What's the hang up with Correa? Well, it's simple. It's this injury. But according to the article, this isn't just a one-year contract for Correa. If it were, there probably wouldn't be any issue. This is a 12-year commitment, and the Mets need to be confident that he'll remain reasonably healthy through the life of it. If they have reason to believe his ankle injury could affect him 5 or 6 years down the line, then that's a big deal. So what can be done? This is the questions that Anthony DeComo was asking. We can only speculate because the two sides aren't discussing the matter publicly, mostly for legal reasons. The most reasonable thing would be for the parties to negotiate new language into Correa's contract, protecting the Mets in the event that he suffers some sort of career-altering ankle injury. That's about insurance. That way the Mets will get the money back in case he's injured. But that's a tricky thing to pull off in a way that will satisfy both the team and the player, which is probably why this is taking so long. He isn't going to have much interest in reducing the value of a deal he already agreed to. While the Mets aren't going to want to play fast and loose with the help of a $315 million player. Would mention this. Correa lost money from the deal that he had with the Giants to the Mets. He lost a year off the contract and about $30 million off of it. Is there any precedent? Hello, Marco Chose. Is there any precedent for this sort of thing? Well, yes, way back in 2004. Boras negotiated a 4-year, $40 million contract for catcher Ivan Rodriguez with the Tigers, including language that protected the team against a career-altering back injury. Specifically, if he spent, this is Rodriguez, spent 35 or more days on the injured list in 04 and 05 because of a lower spine issue. Detroit had the ability to void the contract for a $5 million buyout. If it happened in 2016, the buyout fell to $4 million. 14 years later, Boras negotiated a contract, a 5-year, $110 million one, with the Red Sox for J.D. Martinez that includes similar salary relief if Martinez, who had missed significant time the previous season due to a ligament sprain in his right foot, missed significant time over the life of the contract due to a foot injury. In neither case did the updated contract language ever come into play. Will a deal ultimately get done? This is the most important question of all and the most difficult one to answer. History indicates that a deal should still happen, though it's far from a guarantee. Already, this process has dragged on longer than Boras and the Mets official expected. But there is significant incentive for both sides to finalize the contract. From the team's perspective, Correa is the centerpiece of its offseason spending spree. For both baseball and public relations reasons, it would be a massive disappointment for this deal to stall. From Correa's perspective, re-entering the market after contracts with both the Mets and the Giants fell apart would be extremely risky, be a disaster. Hello, Dookie Hauser. Greg Zeman, how are you? Few other suitors are likely to exist at the $300 million mark, and anyone who did agree to sign him would be quite concerned about his health. After all, two teams would have passed on him after initially agreeing to massive contracts, massive deals. For Correa, not signing now would mean risking never seeing anything close to that amount of money. Like I said, he's already lost money. For those reasons, a happy resolution still seems realistic. But anything involving this many doctors and lawyers is bound to take even more time than it already has. Again, I think the time of the year is a big issue. Because, if you look at it, even if lawyers come back from vacation, they have law assistants or doctors. Doctors are on vacation. So I think it's going to be You're going to see a guy that's going to be. I think it's going to happen this week. It should happen tomorrow. It probably happen on Wednesday. If not Wednesday, then I would think that there's going to be trouble with this contract. Um, I'm just going to put that out there right now. Dion Chand, Happy New Year. You have become a much better YouTuber since you dropped the old format. Hope you have a successful year. Well, thank you. I'm on camera. Nothing to concern. Well, I basically walked away from the other stuff, so this is fine. Um, so we'll see. Hello, Eddie Wilkes. Hello, Don B. From Don B. Hello, Correa needs to just negotiate and get the deal done. Seems that he wants to. Yeah, but if doctors are involved, Don or Dan, if doctors are involved and there's nothing, and lawyers are involved, it's not a little more complicated. It's a lot more complicated, obviously. Yeah, I mean he's not going to get anything more than what he's getting from the Mets. So, hello, Eddie Wilkes. Happy New Year to you. How you been? I've been good. I've been very good. Um, just chilling out, talking about the Mets. We always do here. And I would mention again, subscribe to the channel. We're very close to 3,000 subscribers. We're 67 away from 3,000. So if you're in here for the first time, hit the subscribe button. I was going to have a little sound effect here, but it has not arrived here. Whenever you subscribe to the channel, I'll have a little sound effect, and I am waiting for it to come in the mail. Amazon's supposed to deliver it today. Or I was supposed to deliver it yesterday or 2 days ago on New Year's Eve. So I'm waiting for that little sound effect to be here. So whenever you subscribe or whatever or more like whenever you send me a super chat, you'll hear that as sound effect. Let's see. Nostalgic inclination rather than a regular Christmas present. Maybe Correa will be here in time for Russian Christmas. Well, maybe he'll be here by September. Who knows? At this point. The Pardon Me Why Puke Show. What do they drop? I hope you're carrying like a paper bag with you, buddy. Wherever you go. What if they drop a few years off this contract? I don't think that's going to happen because the rumor is Correa is not budging on the contract. Why should he? If you agree to a deal, you have to work out some kind of language in the contract. So he doesn't. I mean, it's really about the money because if he dropped the years, I mean, what are the Mets going to pay him? $90 million a year for a 4-year deal? I don't think they're going to do that, and he's not going to do that. Why would he do that? He would never do that. But this is fascinating to sit here and watch it. But if you're a fan and you're impatient and you don't realize that spring training's 5 weeks from now, you got to get done. It's got to get done now. If it doesn't get done, it's bad off season. But the Mets have had a great off season. Even though they lost Jacob deGrom, Chris Bassett, Taijuan Walker, they've had a really good off season. It really started during the winter meetings. That's when it really started. Or that Friday before the winter meetings when deGrom decided, you know what, I want to go someplace where I can win. And he did, he was on a team that won 101 games. He's going to go to a team that won 65 games. Hold on, I need a drink. Billy Pisano. Hello. Hey, buddy, nice to see your smiling face on camera. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Yeesh. Sorry about that. Happy New Year. I totally agree with you. If it doesn't get done this week, I personally don't think it'll get done. I mean, that's a concern. This shouldn't be, like I said, the biggest reason this is taking as long as it has is primarily because of the holidays. You've had 4-day work weeks, and it's a complicated contract now with the injury. You have to deal with lawyers, having to deal with an insurance company that might not be fully staffed. So just common sense. BMW 05, how are you? Met you buy insurance for the last 7 years of the contract. You don't know what the injury is. Everybody's saying, well, they got to do this and they got to do that. You don't know what the deal is. You don't know what his physical said. I do appreciate the comment. Happy New Year, Roberto. How you doing, my friend? The Pardon Me Why Puke Show. Is Beatty the third baseman if this falls through? I would think Escobar would be the third baseman. So I don't think Beatty's ready. From what I saw, I don't think his bat's ready. I don't know if he could play third base long term. He looked he just didn't look strong enough. But he's very athletic. I mean, that's his his reputation. Um, that's his reputation. From Ramon said, is it Raymond or Ramon? I guess Ramon. Do you see a trade for Alex Verdugo? Check his numbers. All right. Since you asked, and since you're here to watch my show, let me check. Now, please, of course, subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Let's see. Alex Verdugo, outfielder, left-handed outfielder with the Red Sox. Interesting. But he's not a fourth outfielder though. That's not a bad thought. Let's see. He's a free agent in a couple of years. It's not bad. But he went in the Mookie Betts deal, right? He went in the Mookie Betts deal. And Mookie, yeah, he went with the Jeter. I saw the Jeter Downs guy released by them. Interesting. That's not a bad idea. But the problem is he's an everyday player. I mean, you're gonna play him where in left field, I guess. Doesn't say where he plays. Let me see. He's played primarily left field the last 2 years. He's been a right fielder. He had good numbers last year. The last 2 years, his numbers are actually quite good. OPS plus isn't that high. Let me see something about Canada. Let me look at Canada. Canada has 2 more years on his contract. He's got this year coming up, this year, and then next year with the team is a team option. Christian. The money that he has on the contract is not crazy. On Canada. Well, thank you, Billy, for coming by. It's too bad you got to work today, but that's okay. You have a good day. Yeah, so Canada made $13 million last year. Made $13 million last year, and he's going to make 11.5 this year and 11.5 million next year. I would assume that he will not be here next year, just based on the fact that he's 34 years old. He's going to be 34 years old on February 15th. So in about 6 weeks, he's going to be 34. He had a really good year for the Mets. He was really good. The last 2 years, he's played really well for both the Mets and the A's. But he's a lot like a lot of these A's players that go to teams that they tend to struggle a little bit when they're in the big spot against the big pitching. He had a great August. Totally destroyed the Phillies. Completely destroyed the Phillies down in Philadelphia back in August. He got off to a very slow start with the power and the doubles. He didn't have a double till like June? Yeah, he finished with 24 doubles. He's a very smart player. I really like him a lot. Hello, Michael Lambert. Hello, Ariel Lopez. Interesting. Yeah, Verdugo is not a bad thought, but he's an everyday player. That's the issue with him. He's an everyday player. For this team in particular, they need a left-handed bat that's going to be a fourth outfielder. Although I will point out that they're probably more right-handed now than they were before this, than they were left-handed. Just answering my text. Somebody's texting me. From BMW 05. Play Mauricio in left field and Canna a utility outfielder. No, because Mauricio's never played the outfield. And he's not quite ready to be a major leaguer yet. And I mean, really, the thought is that he'll be a third baseman in the future, that he's not going to be a shortstop. Now we have two guys that are probably going to be here a long time. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with some of these players that they have, and these, at third base and to a lesser extent shortstop. I mean, it was pretty obvious once the Mets traded Rosario and Jimenez and they brought in Lindor, they were going to have a shortstop for a long time. And if Correa comes here, they'll be the third baseman. He's 28 years old. He's going to be here for a long time. I mean, at least for 5 years, he's going to be. We would assume that he's going to be healthy, at least in terms of that leg. Anyway, so off topic. Didn't Mark Cannon play first base sometime in Oakland? Yes, he did. Actually, yes, he did. Let me see how many games. Yeah, he's played first. I don't know how many games. Let me just take a look. He's played everywhere, really. Yeah, third base. He's played. We know he played a game at third base last year. He played first base. Let's see his fielding. It's on. You can check this out on Baseball Reference. In 2021, he played. It's Marcana. He played 3 games at first. In 2020, he played 15 games at first. He's a guy that plays everywhere. Played 15 games in 2018 at first. 2019, he didn't. 2019 played 15. Yeah, basically has some experience. So it's not a lot of games. Canna only played first base once for the Mets and one game. 1 inning, I think. Yeah, 1 inning. So I didn't play 1 inning for the Mets at first. Hello, Lendog. Hello, Carlos Gomez. Hello, New Jersey Swamp Fox. Wait for Devers. No way Mets should go past 5 years for Correa. Well, the horse is out of the barn, New Jersey Swamp Fox, because he's not backing down on the contract. I don't disagree with you. I would have waited, but the owner wanted this player, and then Lindor wants the player. He wants his friend here. He does hit big pitching, and we know that Devers does too. Now, in the meanwhile, please subscribe to this channel and like this video. It's not going to be a very long live stream today. I'm just going to be on just for a little bit, but just wanted to give you sort of an update here. If it doesn't happen by Wednesday, I would think that it might be a problem. Like I said, I don't think there's really been a problem other than the timing of it with the holiday and stuff, and it's a very complicated now situation with the insurance and the doctors. They might have to create a new clause for this, for all we know. So we'll see. Swagenberger says, "Did you see MLB's first power rankings of the year?" Yes, Mr. Number 2. That's what Correa. I would think that's about right. I'm going to be very interested to see where he's going to bat in this lineup, because he's not a number 5 hitter, and Marte is not really a number 5 hitter either. And he gets hurt, as you know, he's going to miss 40 games again this year. So I don't know what kind of lineup the Mets are going to have. They really need a number 5 hitter, and Correa's not that. That's for sure. Hold on, I need a drink. Look, 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 look. Dookie House says Cano's off the books next year too. That's right. He's going to be off the books, so that there's money off of the books. There's a possibility too that Max Scherzer could opt out, although I don't think that's going to happen. Um, I don't think that's going to happen because I think he has a home now here in Long Island. I think. S.O. Rourke, I've been playing around on Trade Simulator. If we locked up third base for the next 10 years, what do you think of Beatty Vientos for Eduardo Cabrera and Jesus Luzardo with the Marlins? Uh, Let me take a look. I mean, Luzardo, he's now bounced around now. Went from the A's to the Marlins. A's don't trade anybody any good, to be honest with you. Let's see. Let's see if they're a young player. Rufa. Yeah, the guy seems like he's hurt. I don't know about Luzardo. Um, I'm sorry, looking at the wrong player. Let's see. Well, Cabrera's not even in the big leagues. I don't know anything about him. I don't know about that trade. Beatty, you get more for Beatty than Luzardo. Beatty's value is higher than Luzardo. You know, Luzardo's bounced around. You use Beatty in a big trade. Luzardo's not a big enough player. He's not a big enough pitcher for me to move him. I mean, Beatty's the number 18th prospect in MLB.com. Okay. Jesus Luzardo has pitched 61 games. He got an ERA of 4.59. His ERA for the last 2 years has been over 6. Why would you want to touch him? You know? I mean, to be honest with you, a guy like Beatty could be a centerpiece to bring in a guy like Sandy Alcantara. That's what you'd be looking at. Luzardo's not that good. He's just, I mean, my view. And that's just how I think. Carlos Gomez says, I hear a lot of fans saying don't sign Correa because of the physical, but we have to know that 30% of the major leagues have injuries that they can play with their whole careers. Now, how do you know that percentage? I'm just asking a question. How do you know that particular percentage? It's not 25%, it's not 40%, 50%. How many players have plates in their leg or plates anywhere in their body? You know, I mean, I'm just asking you a direct question. You know, you say we have to know it's 30%. I don't even know how you get that percentage. The pardon me while I puke says, what would be your plan B if the Correa deal falls through? You just play Escobar. You play Escobar at third. He did a good job defensively. He was really good. Hello, Luke Riley. How you doing? Yeah, you know, I mean, to be honest with you, these guys and with the Marlins, you got to be careful with the Marlins now because their pitching, they did lose over 90 games last year. I mean, how good can their pitching be? Even with the lousy offense. Um, you know, it's just, I don't know. I mean, other than Alcantara, really, none of those guys, even Pablo Lopez doesn't really interest me that much. You know, to be honest with you. I mean, you're gonna make a trade. You make a trade for a big player at this point. Um, BMW 05 says Beatty, Vientos, and Peterson for Alcantara. It's not enough. No, it's not enough. You'd have to get one of the catchers too, and another pitcher, another minor league pitcher, if not two more. It'd probably be like a 4 prospect or 5 prospect for him. For Alcantara. I mean, Alcantara's the Cy Young Award winner. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Kenneth Flood. Hello, Kenneth. You think Escobar can break his second year here? I think so, but if he's still here, is he still going to be here with the Mets? I don't know. I hope he is. He comes across as a good guy, so I do like him a lot. So I don't know. Um, I don't know if he's going to be coming back. Especially if they bring in Correa. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's O'Rourke. Alcantara would clean out a farm system. And the Mets are trying to build a farm system. They've been very careful about who they're signing. They're not getting too, they're not like uh I mean, they did a great job last year of signing guys that didn't have any qualifying offers. They had a big draft. They're trying to rebuild this farm system. It was at the bottom of the rung when Cohen took over. And now they're at because as you know, Brody Van Wagenen traded a lot of the Mets young pitching. They don't have a lot of pitching in this farm system. And they're trying to rebuild it. That's why they've signed all these veteran pitchers, because they just don't have anybody here in the minors that can step in and be a big. Because pitching is weird. Pitching can happen, can develop very quickly. So it's not like an everyday player. Everyday players tend to need time to develop, but with starting pitching in particular, they can develop right overnight, and we've seen that a lot over the years. Look how Jacob DeGrom developed. We didn't hear anything about him. Developed just before our eyes. Or if you go back further, how David Cohn came from out of nowhere and became a big pitcher. So, pitching is different than really an everyday player. Because every day you could tell with pitching, you never know how a guy's going to be. So, I mean, that's the one thing that has been bad here with the Mets. Has been really they've not been able to develop any big pitchers beyond the five that they had in 2015, 2016. They've not been able to develop anybody really since. They developed a lot of like everyday players. They've been very good at that with Nimmo and McNeil and Alonso, and to obviously lesser degree Nito. So but now the pitching there's not a lot there, and all the Mets pitching is in the rookie ball. There's Calvin Ziegler. There's Blake Tidwell. These are guys that just recently drafted. So that's the one thing you don't want to do. You got to be careful that they don't move these players. And if you do, you got to do for the right player that's going to put you over the top. Now, they won 101 games last year, which I felt, looking back, I think they kind of played over the heads a little bit. Because I was thinking they were probably going to win 85 games, but you saw the value. I think everybody saw the value of Buck Showalter as manager here. With him as manager, you have a situation now where he's making the players better. S. O'Rourke, I really hope Matt Allen gets into a productive season. He has not pitched since 2019. I was going over his prospect status over I think maybe yesterday, the day before, yesterday. He has not pitched since 2019. He's had the Tommy John. He pitched a little bit in, I guess, instructional ball last year, last year, and a little bit in spring training, but he did not pitch at all last year. So I don't know what the deal is with him. And the Mets invest a lot of money in him. I mean, Brody Van Wagenen put a lot of money into him. They spent over slot because they didn't think they were going to sign him. Teams didn't think they were going to sign him. They thought he was going to college, and he's not done anything. He's done nothing in 3 years. Well, hopefully he gets on a mound this year and pitches. Gets in a rotation. We'll see. Christian JMJ, if Escobar gives the Mets this kind of production he had in September, by half a season instead of 1 month, they were in good shape anyway. Again, they won 101 games, and he didn't have a good year. He had a great September. Matt Allen is really the Mets' second number one pick, or second pick in the 2019 draft. Beatty is the number one pick. And they signed him, and he was 19 years old. He was still in high school at 19. And the Mets were kind of criticized for drafting him because they felt, people said, well, he's kind of old to be a high school pick. But Brody picked him, and he picked Allen. Um, and then obviously in 2020 they picked Pete Crow Armstrong, which I was not happy about because his reputation was that of a defensive guy. And when you hear a defensive guy in center field, you think of Jason Tyner. And Jason Tyner couldn't hit. He had no power, and he was not really that good of a player. Um, so when Pete Crow Armstrong was drafted, I was like, that's not a good draft pick. And then he got hurt. Then he played about a couple of days, and in the minor leagues, and he got hurt. And then the Mets traded him. They didn't get a chance really to watch him. It didn't seem like they were all that interested in keeping him. And they traded him um, for Javier Baez, which I did not take issue with. Um, I don't even know what he's doing. Let me take a look at the Cubs because he's their best pick. He's their number one prospect. Let's see. Now, meanwhile, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Right, Pete Crow Armstrong, let's see. He's the number one prospect with the Chicago Cubs. His overall grades from scouts in the minor leagues is 55. That's all right. His hits is 55. Power's 50. 50 is like average. It's not below average. His running skill is 60. His arm is 55. His fielding is 70. He's a big time fielder, but let me see what they said. I would mention that his parents are actors. His mother is an actress. Mother was in Major League. No, not Major League. Little Big League. Or Rookie. Crow Armstrong's quick left-handed stroke and mature approach is built for spraying the drives all over the park. He could fit near the top of an order with his hitting ability and on-base skills, not to mention his plus speed and base running savvy. While it initially was believed he might not have more than an average raw power, he has made some swing changes that are allowing him to launch and pull balls more easily, and he may now have 20 home run pop. The top outfield defender in the 2020 draft, he's a no doubt center field goal of potential. He covers tremendous ground with his quickness and instincts, and he also possesses solid arm strength. Get this, my God, get this comparison. You might laugh at this one. He has a similar profile to former Cubs center fielder Albert Amora. Though he bats left-handed, should be a better hitter. That is not a good comparison. I've heard things like Mark Kotze. He was okay major leaguer. Kotze was a little overrated because he always seemed like he was killing the Mets. But if they compare him to Albert Amora, that is not great. That is not great. Last year, he hit 312. Hit 312 last year. In 101 games. That's not a lot of games he played. On base percentage 376, 520 slugging. That is not a great comparison. That's an insult. That's an insult. You comparing Crow Armstrong to to Albert Amora? That's insultative. I tell you, that's not what you want to hear. Hold on, I need a drink. Somebody's calling me. The hell's that? Hold on a second. Yeah, I don't know who that was. A wrong number. But anyway, yeah, you don't want to be compared to Albert Moore if you're a minor leaguer. Again, you never want to bring a if you're going to draft somebody, you want to draft somebody that can hit. The worst thing that you can do is bring in a guy that has, um, bringing a guy that is going to be known as a defensive guy in the draft. Galvin Cicchini was one of those guys too. And to be honest with you, um, so was Dom Smith, by the way. I see. There's the thing. I don't think that was a bad trade because they got a lot out of Trevor Williams, Carlos Guzman. So getting rid of Pearson, you agree? It's not a good. Nah, it's not a good idea. I think that he is developing into a guy that you could put in your rotation. I think he could be a very good number 4 starter, number 5 starter at worst. Um, I thought that he had actually a very productive season last year. He was very impressive 3 years ago now, during the pandemic. I thought he pitched really well and took a big step back in 21. Um, and he's pitched in college. He's pitched in big games, and I thought he looked really good last year. I really think so. I'm not down on him. He pitched well last year. You look at his numbers; he pitched well. I would not move him. And I don't think the Mets want to play on it. Plus, they have two guys that are in there are gonna, they're getting up there in age. Um, they're getting up there in age, so I don't think there's any reason to trade a young guy. Um, that's what 25 years old, 26 years old, and he's left-handed. The Mets, other than they didn't really have a lefty in the rotation last year. They do now with Quintana, but you don't give up on lefties, especially since he's had success here. He's pitched fairly well, other than 21. He pitched well last year, and he pitched pretty good in 20. BMW 05 says, "What's up with Dom Smith?" Well, I don't know. I thought he was going to. He's probably going to get a minor league deal with some team, probably the Cubs. I've heard the Cubs with him. I've heard the Cubs. Um, I don't know where he's going. It's not really something that keeps me up at night. It's when Dom Smith is going to go. Um, you know, Hobart Brayu, hello. I missed your comment earlier. I read that serious ankle injuries can cause back issues. Really, his ankle will hamper his career. Well, that's interesting. That is very interesting. I didn't know that. Interesting. See, again, he's got a plate in his leg. How many people do you know at 28 years old have a plate in their leg, and they're an athlete? There's very few like that. Yeah, Dom Smith is right now lost in the phantom zone of being non-tendered. Um, Hopefully for him, he'll get a job. Keep an eye on the A's. Keep an eye on the Cubs. Some team that is bad. The A's have had interest in him for a long time. So had the Cubs. They were gonna again. The Mets were gonna move him last year to the Cubs, in that Padres deal. Interestingly enough, Eric Hosmer was released by the Red Sox, but because they didn't pick up the money, they just got rid of him. Because the Padres are picking up that money, so he's gone. It'd be interesting to see where he goes. Don't be surprised if he ends up in one of those teams, maybe Oakland. I can see him going to Oakland. That's an Oakland move there ever was Eric Hosmer. And is there any more of an overrated player than Eric Hosmer? You cannot believe how low his WAR is, in his career. It's terrible. And that was a bad deal. The Padres made a bad deal. The Padres tend to make these bad decisions when it comes to these contracts. That was a bad contract. The Tatis contract was bad. You know, AJ probably he bites off a little too much more than he could chew. I think there in out there in San Diego. I think it's too comfortable out there with that weather for him. But Yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen with Correa. Um, I would say a 50-50 chance something happens tomorrow, maybe a little bit higher than that. And then if not tomorrow, it's probably going to start dropping. But if it's not, like I said earlier, if it doesn't happen by Wednesday, I don't think that that's going to happen. That he's probably not going to sign here. But both sides want it to happen. Um, Correa wants to be here. The Mets want him here. Unfortunately, the owner painted himself into a corner, talking about it. Hopefully, he learns from this. He's a smart guy. Hopefully, he learns not to do that again. And if he does it again, it's just you don't want to burn your money. I mean, you don't want to burn your money into oblivion. By the way, um, and I will be here to discuss all that stuff whenever this. And you know what's going to happen. And I'm off from work tomorrow, but I'm going to be hanging out with my friend, and I know I'm going to be going out with my friend, and it's going to happen while I'm hanging out with her. I just know it. I just know it. Frank Hannon says, any update? No. No. Nope. No update. Yeah, I mean, I'll be out. It's like when I was I told you I was at a party during the when the Grom signed with the Rangers, and I couldn't do a video. I was pissed off. Couldn't do a live stream. I was so pissed. I was so pissed. I couldn't do a video until the next day. I didn't get home to the afternoon. So, yeah, all likelihood it'll probably happen when I'm either at work on Wednesday or when I'm out with my friend tomorrow afternoon. Like I said, keep an eye on it tomorrow. If you're on Twitter, start paying attention after 9 o'clock because that's when the business day starts. And I always notice that the media always tweets out a lot of stuff after 9 o'clock. There's very few times where stuff happens before that. This thing this thing with Correa happened in the middle of the night is unusual. The Pardon Me While I Puke show. When would the extensions for Alonso and McNeil be coming? Who knows? Who knows? There's no rush. There's no rush. Although I need a drink. Look. Dio says this. Why isn't anyone mentioning Tyler McGill? Have you seen the video comparison of him and DeGrom? The similarities from earlier stats, age called up, and pitching stance release, and stuff is starting at 6'8". Now here's the thing, which this comparison does not take into account. There was no minor league system in 2020, and because there was no minor league season during 2020, he missed a full year of pitching. All right, he missed a full year of pitching for the Mets and the minor leagues. That is 15 to 20 starts that he did not take. And I think because of that, that experience of pitching in the minor leagues has hurt him. In that, when you're pitching at a certain point, you learn how to take care of your body. Injuries pop up in the minor leagues like they would up here. And instead of having an injury of him, say, pitching in the minors in 2020, he didn't pitch at all. So now he's trying to catch up in terms of experience. He doesn't have the experience enough to be able to gut through an injury, being able to sort of manage an injury. Because if we notice when he's been injured, his velocity drops like a stone. He'll go from 99 to 92. That's troubling when you're a pitcher. When you lose that much velocity, that means he doesn't know how to manage the injury if it's a little tweak here or a tweak there. And they weren't tweaks at all, but there would have been less spotlight on him in terms of him pitching. He is very talented, but right now in his career, he's not a guy in a rotation. It's good that they'll have him in the bullpen. Now, I don't even think he's a bullpen arm. Okay, I don't even think that he's a bullpen arm. Just noticing how he is, from what I've seen of him, in my opinion, he is not a reliever. I don't think he'll. If he ever becomes a reliever, I would be surprised. He did not look good when the Mets tried to pitch him in relief in September. He looked terrible. And I think that has a lot to do with experience. He doesn't have the experience. Okay. Similarities to DeGrom is different. DeGrom had a major injury in the minor leagues. Okay. And he was able to manage it and learn about his body down there and being able to sort of, and like I said earlier, he came from out of nowhere. McGill has come out of nowhere, but he, as far as I know, he didn't have any injuries, and he only pitched in I think 2019 was the only year that he pitched in the minors. So, and because he came from, I think, from college or pitched in 2018 or whatever. I'd have to look him up. But he's a different situation than, say, Peterson. Peterson was a guy that was a big starter in college, so he already kind of knew how to pitch. McGill was a guy that came from a small town, a small school in college, and Peterson pitched a lot in the minor leagues, and he pitched in the majors in 2020. So he pitched for the Mets for 17, 18, 19 when the Mets called him up, and he's been bouncing around between the Mets and the minor leagues. With McGill, is a totally different situation. Like I said, he missed that full season, and because he missed that full season, you see it. You can't help but see it and notice it. So he's not quite there yet. But like I said, he can come out of nowhere and be a big contributor for the Mets. Yeah, so the Mets drafted him in 2018. So he really only had 2 minor league seasons prior to the Mets calling him up in 2021. So he only had 3 minor league seasons. That's not a lot, you know. Let me see his minor league statistics. So in the minor leagues, he pitched 40 games in the minor leagues when the Mets called him up in 21. 40 games. That is nothing. That is nothing as a starter. Primarily as a starter and as a reliever. That's not a lot of innings. And he pitched about 130 innings. 130 innings. That is just not enough. That's not enough experience professionally. So and the Met rotation is deep enough that they don't have to start him on a regular basis. He doesn't have to be in the 5-man rotation. He could be an extra guy, a guy that fills in right now. You don't have to pitch him as much as you would think. And he's 27 years old. But that experience is a big deal. He came from Loyola Marymount. That's a pretty. Oh, wait a minute. University of Arizona. That's a big school. He was the 8th round pick for the Mets in 2018. But like I said, not a lot of professional experience. That's a big deal. He's got to give him a little bit of time. Mets. There's no rush on him. He's not a free agent until 2018. So they can kind of take their time with him. And last year he pitched only 47 innings, and the year before 89 innings. He needs a lot of work, but he's got a lot of talent. He's very talented. I really do love his stuff, but he's just not ready yet. Aaron Gandia, Zach Britton on a small 1-year deal, minor league deal. I mean, he'll be somebody that'll get a money. I agree with you. That's a name that's bounced around a little bit. The media's talked about it because obviously Buck managed him, and he's been injured. So you give him a minor. I wouldn't even give him a guaranteed deal. Give him a minor league deal. Because he's had to deal with injuries over the last few years. Let's see. I'm trying to find any kind of account that's on here. Okay. Michael Marino, who I follow, he says, anyone who's saying or thinking Correa Mets delay is because of MLBPA offices being closed are incorrect. That has played no part in this process. There's no comment on the process itself at all. I have no update on negotiations. I just know that the offices being closed causing a delay narrative is not accurate. No, the damn insurance companies everybody's on vacation. If they were to come to terms, they'd be able to come to a deal whenever. I'm sorry, and it's a complicated contract now. It's a complicated contract. Now, this is a bone of contention with me here. Pardon me while I puke. Show says, off topic, did the Mets eventually retire number 8? I think so. The rumor was that they were going to retire a lot of numbers. And they kind of did that. They retired Willie Mays' number without telling anybody. I would think Gary Carter's probably next. They retired Keith's number. You got to retire Gary Carter's number. Um, he's deserving of it. The Mets won a World Series with him. He's a Hall of Famer. They should have retired his number when he got in the Hall of Fame. I don't understand why the Wilpons didn't do it. Wilpons screwed up a lot of stuff here. And this thing with the numbers was a big deal to a lot of people, including myself. 17 was a number. They did the right thing. They retired Keith's number before Gary's number. But Gary's number should have been retired once he made the Hall of Fame. And it should have been, as put out of service. They put the number out of service after he passed away. That number should have been out of service when he made the Hall of Fame. They could have had a big ceremony at Shea Stadium. They didn't do it. They had the number on the outfield wall at Citi Field that the year that he passed away. That number should have been retired. Why they did that is beyond me. The Pardon Me Why I Puke show, number 45. Number 45? Who's 45? What, John Franco? I don't think so. John Franco's not a Hall of Famer. Sorry. 48 would have gotten retired. But I don't know if DeGrom, how he's going to pitch the next few years. He's got to get himself together. Number 45, John Franco's not getting his number retired. They haven't put that number out of service. They're not doing that. The next number that should get retired is number 8. That's the next number that get retired. It's Gary Carter's number. That's an obvious one, especially since nobody wears it. And it's good at least that they retired Willie Mays' number before he passed away, and he's still with it. I watched a documentary about a month and a half ago with Willie Mays, and they were talking to Willie. He's like 90-something years old. He's still with it. He hasn't lost his marbles yet, And he's still strong as an ox and everything else. He just can't stand anymore. Obvious reasons, he's an old guy, but he's still with it, But John Franco's number's not getting retired. He's not even a Hall of Famer. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not getting in. D74, yes, I read the tweet just a moment ago. Just because the Players Association isn't closed doesn't mean that all the paper pushers, the insurance company, and the different lawyers aren't. That's where it is. That's where we're at. But I love talking about the retired numbers. I'm getting everything I want. The one person I was surprised that got retired was Jerry Kuzma's number got retired. I was surprised by that. I wasn't surprised about Keith. I was happy for Keith. I actually did a video on that last year. I did a live stream, which is appropriate. Maybe we'll see 18 get retired, maybe 16 retire, but that those guys have had a lot of problems, and they've not retired those. Those numbers are still in use. Well, we'll see about McGill. McGill. It's not that he's talented. He's talented, but he's injured. They'll have him to fill in. He'll fill in when they need him. Hopefully, he's able to adjust being a reliever here. If he's able to be a reliever, they could use him as a long man, and then they can start him a little bit. But he's not ready to get in the rotation. This is not experimental time here. I mean, they have a pretty solid veteran rotation now. Obviously. So there's no room right now for McGill, to be honest with you, and Peterson. Peterson will get more of a chance to start than McGill will, because he's much more stable in terms of his career than McGill's still finding out who he is. He may wind up in the bullpen. I don't think he's in the bullpen. I don't think he should pitch in the bullpen. That's my opinion, just from what I've seen. Again, from Michael Maria, Medicine Correa is more complicated legally than most other free agent signings. It's a main reason why it's been so quiet. At least it caused a good bit of trouble. Like I reported before, silence isn't always a bad thing. Also, with the insurance, too, is a big deal. Exactly. These guys will be spot starting when guys need a rest or they're going to be on the IL, on the IR, whatever. I expect guys to be hurt. I expect Max Scherzer to miss time. Okay. That's really what hurt the 2006 Mets, is that they had injuries to Pedro and El Duque. And they had to rely on John Maine and Ali Perez. That doesn't help. But anyway, I'm going to end the live stream. I don't want to keep you all here too long. Be back again tomorrow. We'll have a video up tomorrow. Maybe I'll have a video up today. We'll see how I feel. And I want to thank you all for coming by. We'll have video. We're going to have a lot of live streams. We're going to have a big live stream on Wednesday in the evening. Hopefully we'll have this resolution here with the Mets and Correa. I know that people are getting annoyed with this. I'm not. This is great for me on here, but Dio says, looks like Brett Baty will get plenty of at-bats from the left field DH third base. His minor league numbers trump David Wright's. In fact, he's the best prospect statistically in the last 15 years. Now, calm down. We're talking about David Wright. Minor league numbers don't mean anything. Doesn't mean damn squat. Doing the minors don't mean anything. And we're talking about David Wright, who's going to have his number retired next at the Gary Carter's number, by the way. So let's not get too crazy about minor league stats. Are meaningless. They are meaningless. So I want to thank you all for coming by. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good new year. And I'll see you later.